everybody, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Takara Tomy Transformers MB-18 Movie the Best Warhammer Bumblebee, based on, of course, Transformers The Last Knight. Now, I have without any doubt in saying that this is probably one of the best live-action movie Bumblebee figures that we ever saw officially mass-produced by Hasbro and Takara, even being better than the Battle Blades Bumblebee, which for the longest time has been regarded as being the ultimate version of the character, how he appeared in the live-action movies. But I've got to disagree with that now. I really do think this figure here set a new standard for Bumblebee movie figures going forward, and truly was kind of the figure of which the movie masterpiece, and then of course pretty much every single Studio Series version, was based on. Now this here is the Takara MB release, who is in fact actually painted a lot nicer when in comparison to the original Wave 3 Transformers 5 version, and does actually come packaged with better accessories. Most noticeably would be his awesome Warhammer that we actually see him use quite a lot in Transformers 5. Now it was kind of sad to see this not included with the original version, especially considering just how heavily featured this was in pretty much all of the promotional art and even in the trailers for Transformers 5, but I think Takara absolutely knocked it out of the park where the sculpt and the paint of this is concerned, and even to this date, I actually find myself using this on other Bumblebee figures as it's just such a nicely designed accessory. You can see as far as the sculpt work here for the main hammer is concerned, I think that looks awesome with all of the spikes here at the top. He did actually utilize this in order to try and take down Nemesis Prime, and to be fair, actually put up a pretty decent fight. And you can see here for the handle, I think that sculpt looks awesome, as so does the yellow paint. And we also do see the inclusion of the Stinger Blaster. Now this too was also modified when in comparison to the original version, so this could actually be attached onto his movie accurate right arm in comparison to the left arm that was seen on the original version. You can see the sculpt work where the armor plating is concerned looks awesome, and just overall it's a very, very impressive looking sculpt. Probably the most accurate version of the Stinger Blaster that we've ever seen for a deluxe class Bumblebee. Now setting these here off to the side, and of course taking a look at B in his 2017 Camaro, this is awesome. I personally have always regarded Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon as being my favourite look for the character, but I've got to be honest and say Transformers 5 definitely gave number 3 a run for its money. I think as far as the Camaro and even the robot mode is concerned, this was an awesome new look for the character. Now as we bring this in here for a closer look, you can see the sculpt work is just so sharp. It looks incredibly accurate to the vehicle used in the film, and the paintwork too, for the most part, is top notch. You can see as we take a look here towards the front section, an incredibly aggressive front grille. This perfectly captures the characterization of B from Transformers 5. We've got the Chevy logo slap bang in the center, as well as some really awesome metallic blue highlights there for the headlights. I kind of wish that maybe they would have painted the inside of this section here black, just so that when you do bring all these panels together, it looks slightly more coherent. As you can see, there is definitely a noticeable difference between where the panels do align, but here for the front of the hood, you can see a really nice matte black used here, as well as here for the top section. As we spin our attention to the back, you can see this has been completely painted, the tail lights, this almost license plate section, as well as these pieces here along the side, and we've even got the exhaust pipes, which I think have been sculpted very, very nicely. Even as we take a look here at the side of the vehicle, you can see kind of the emblem of the Autobot insignia, as well as some nice black pinstriping around the door. And for this section, as we flip here to the underside, you'll notice that as far as where all the components end up, it's incredibly similar to the Studio Series Clunker Bumblebee, and that is because essentially it did borrow a lot of the engineering that we're seeing here with this particular figure. Now, as far as an actual size comparison is concerned, sadly, we don't really have that many Studio Series The Last Knight figures, so the closest comparison I could bring out would be that of the Studio Series Transformers 5 Mercedes Drift, and I actually think the scale isn't too bad. Of course, this was just basically a direct repaint of the figure that came out as part of the Transformers 5 toy line. So in the future, could we potentially see this mold just getting a straight up re-release, maybe with some of those additional Takara exclusive accessories? I actually wouldn't mind that, as I do think this is a pretty perfect figure as it is. Now, as far as the transformation for Bumblebee is concerned, as mentioned previously, I really do think this took essence from both the movie masterpiece figure and truly was the basis for some of those more modern Studio Series releases. So it is on the slightly more complex side, however, believe me when I say it results in what could just be the most accurate version of the live action movie Bumblebee robot mode that we've ever seen. So to begin with, personally what I like to start off with would be coming here to the underside and just wriggling out these forearms. Of course, come to this section and repeat the exact same process. We can then take these side wheels and just hinge these here out to the side, and then do the exact same here for the door wings. Now, a word of caution, this is completely cast out of transparent plastic, and you can see sadly it has begun to stress and crack on this side, so definitely take your time when prying these sections out. So just hinge them there And of course, do the same here for this side. You'll then want to come to the front, lift this section up, which will then detach the windscreen from these two tabs. And then we can come here to the rear of the vehicle and just lift this panel up and hinge it out of the way just to allow for some additional clearance. That will then allow us to take the shoulders, hinge those out to the side until they do soft click into place. And then you're going to want to flip out this chest plate, bring this down, and in fact actually lock this securely there, just like so. We can then fold out the hands on both sides of Bumblebee. Flip our attention here to the back. You'll now want to split these sections right down the middle, take some of this thigh armor, and in fact actually hinge this out. And come here to this side and do the same. Take the feet, angle these sections inwards as they'll then detach. And then of course do the same here for this side. As we flip our attention to the front, fold out the shin guards. And then basically, much like any of the Studio Series versions, we'll then just want to hinge all of these panels in upon themselves and snap the feet there into place. Do the same here for this side. And then spin our attention to the back, and something which is literally directly taken from the masterpiece would be the compression of the backpack. The engineering that has actually been packed into this is mind-blowing. So you're going to want to take this panel, snap that there into place, take this one, snap that there into place, and then finally there's a tiny slot here on the back that will actually peg into this tab. So there is yet again another hinge joint which just folds all of that up really neatly and compactly and creates what could just be the cleanest backpack we've ever seen for Bumblebee. And another thing this figure was able to accomplish would be that almost quadruple door wing look that we see Bee have in pretty much all of the movies besides Transformers Age of Extinction. And then for some finishing touches, come here to the front, hinge up the chest piece, and then we have the movie the best Warhammer Bumblebee fully transformed up into, honestly, his astonishing looking robot mode. And as mentioned previously, without a doubt, at least in my opinion, the best version of the live action movie Bee design in the deluxe class scale point. I really do think they knocked it out of the park in regards to the engineering of this figure, and upon first glance you would actually be forgiven for mistaking this here for the masterpiece. I just think the attention to detail as well as the compression of the kibble is by far the best we've ever seen for this character. Now as we bring him in here for a closer look, what a stellar looking head sculpt this guy has. You can see all of that amazing mechanical surface detailing that we've got for the mouthpiece and for the eyes. I know there are some collectors that actually find this to be a little too skeletal when in comparison to the movie, and perhaps it is slightly off, but it's definitely leaps and bounds better when in comparison to say some of the leader classes from Dark of the Moon or even the Human Alliance Bumblebee. I think the paintwork looks awesome. You can even see the sculpt work here at the top of the helmet where those kind of tiny ears would be, and even where these holes are for the actual battle mask. I think that is such a nice touch. As we take a look here at the torso, I think the chest piece splits up really nicely. You can see the Chevy logo slap bang in the center, not painted, and it would have been awesome had it been, but still, the sculpt work there for the entire torso region just looks so nicely done. And the same can also be said here for the arm guards. I think the actual surface detailing we've got here for some of these sections looks great. You can see some of the shocks, really nice mechanical details where the forearms are with loads of silver paint. And the same can also be said here for these arm guards. Just overall a very, very nicely done looking Bumblebee. As we work our way down here to the lower section, the way all of the vehicle mode components come together cohesively to create the leg design, in my opinion, is mind-blowing. You can see as we take a look here from a side perspective, full of mechanical detailing, and the wheel placement is in fact actually super accurate to how it turns out on screen. I think that's wicked. And once more, as we just take a look at it here from a back perspective, you can see that quadruple door wing effect as well as that completely compressed backpack. Now, in regards to Bumblebee's articulation, a full range here at the head, which can look up all the way, down that far, tilt side to side slightly, as well as look left to right. The shoulders are on ball joints too, so can rotate the full 360, hinge out to the sides, rotation here at the bicep, as well as 90 there at the elbow, full waist rotation, which is awesome. The legs can kick forwards that far, back to that far, hinge out to the side, rotation at the thigh, as well as the 90-degree bend there at the knee. And something else which I believe is also a first for a Bumblebee is the fact that we can indeed pivot the foot forwards and backwards. So overall, just such an impressive Bumblebee movie figure. I really do think they did such a good job with this guy. Now, bringing back in some of Bumblebee's firepower, or should I say just weapons in general, here we have the Warhammer. Now, the integration is incredibly straightforward here for bot mode. Basically, we just slide it through the hands, and you can in fact actually grip them with both hands, which I'll showcase towards the beginning act of this review. But that there is just such a wicked accessory, and in my opinion, really does complete Bumblebee from Transformers 5, as this was the accessory that we see him primarily use in that movie. Now, as far as the actual Stinger Blaster is concerned, concerned. As mentioned previously, on the original version, you could only really equip it utilizing the elbow joint on this arm, and that was inaccurate. B has always used it on the right arm, and Takara fixed it here with this Movie the Best release. Now, to be honest, this integration is nowhere near as seamless as, say, the likes of the Studio Series version. You basically have to slide out the mushroom peg, which I've never really been a huge fan of, and then basically reattach a complete new component, whereas on the SS version, it's just a slide joint. You just pop it on and off, which I think works a little better, but nevertheless, just slide that Stinger Blaster on, and there we've got Bumblebee fully equipped with that weapon. Undeniably the most accurate look we've ever seen for this cannon. The sculpt and the paintwork looks great, and of course, considering this is a live action movie Bumblebee, you guys know I have to recreate the Stinger sound effect. You can have Bumblebee literally firing away at any of the enemy Decepticons. Now, I guess the only accessory that this guy is really missing would be an interchangeable battle mask head. That would have been the icing on the cake, especially considering we do see him have that when he's tackling Nemesis Prime. But with all that being said, I believe that pretty much just wraps up our Movie the Best Warhammer Bumblebee. Here for a quick comparison, here we once again have the Studio Series Transformers 5 Mercedes Drift, and I think from a scale perspective they look really nice with one another. Considering that we now have this SS version, I do think that it's quite possible that we could pretty much be seeing all of those original Transformers 5 figures just re-released, reissued with new colour schemes, as I don't think they are in fact actually going to go back on themselves and create a downsized version of this with new tooling. I could be wrong, but considering we've got this, I do definitely think that repaints are probably the way that they're going to go for the future Transformers 5 figures. And so, some final thoughts for this Transformers MB-18 Movie the Best Warhammer Bumblebee. As you guys have probably guessed, I think this is a fantastic Bumblebee. Probably the best Bumblebee that we've ever seen from Hasbro. I definitely think it beats the Battle Blades Bumblebee, which for the longest time has been regarded as probably being the holy grail for live action movie B releases. I just think as far as the engineering is concerned for this guy, it's so much better. The accuracy they were able to in fact actually capture with the robot mode is so nicely done. The quadruple door wing effect is something that up until this point no other Bumblebee besides the Masterpiece was really able to replicate. I think the fact that we can now actually compress the backpack within the torso is awesome. It creates for an extremely clean silhouette from both the front and the back profile, and the articulation on this figure for a Bumblebee is next level. Besides the missing ankle rocker pivot, which has now been seen on the likes of the SS Revenge of the Fallen Bumblebee, I really do think this guy is awesome. The Chimera also looks great. The engineering is super sophisticated and results in a very effective looking robot as well as vehicle mode, and the accessories from Takara really do make this movie the best in my opinion. The Warhammer is such a nice inclusion, and to in fact actually get the arm cannon which can attach onto the right side of Bumblebee, I really do think makes all of the difference. So all that being said, this definitely gets a high recommendation from me. For those of you who are a fan of the live action movie Bumblebee, without a doubt this is a figure that you have to add to the collection, even if you are only able to pick up the original Transformers The Last Night Wave 3 version. Just a version of this mold in the collection I definitely think is justified, as I really do believe this to be probably one of the best live action movie Bs that we will ever see. I'd love to hear your thoughts on not only the review but of course on the figure down in the comment section below. Do you rate this as highly as I do? And as always, I thank you all so much for watching. Until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.